Welcome to another episode of Unraveling IT. And at Corsica, we pride ourselves on two things: being able to keep our customers connected and also connect our customers. And today we're sitting down with Stephany Alarcon, who is the newly appointed Client Experience Director, who's going to be talking to us about what's missing in IT. Stephany, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me, Lexi, and Thank you for saying my last name correctly.
Oh, I got you.
Here at Corsica, you'll find me often letting people know how to pronounce it correctly. So, Alarcon, and you did it perfectly. Thank you, Lexi.
Love that. Love that. All right. Well, Stephany, you've been at Corsica for 2 years. Tell us about your journey and how you tie that into the IT industry.
Yeah, so I've been at Corsica for 2 years. That is correct. And this was a complete career shift for me. So I like to tell people that I'm only 2 years old in the IT landscape, but to watch out for when I'm a solid 6 or 8 years old, because this industry is fascinating to me, honestly. It is rapidly changing. The things I've learned have been amazing. But I do come from a background with people, and that's really my bread and butter. People, it always has been. So I've spent the previous 10 years prior to my time at Corsica at a higher education institution where, I had students, not clients. And the first half of my time there was developing programming and getting students engaged and really ultimately trying to ensure that they were retained on campus, but also making them feel welcome, included, and valued. So I spent the first half of my journey there in the Office of Diversity and Multicultural Affairs. And then I spent the second half of my time in more of the student success, student experience, student programming world, where I was in charge of new student orientation for the university, and that was a huge undertaking. However, I do believe that my previous experience really put me in a perfect place when I came to Corsica, because instead of welcoming new students to campus and showing them the way, I'm now onboarding new clients to Corsica and showing them the way. So it's been a great experience where I've gotten to really just use my skills that I already have, a job that I've already done in a completely different capacity, and just kind of translate all of that to technology. So it's been great.
That's amazing. I love that. The thing about tech is that a lot of it has to do with transferable skills. And that's the beauty of being able to get into IT. And we need more people in IT. So the fact that, we're able to do that here, I love that. So what makes you passionate about people, and what do you think makes Corsica different when it comes to the client experience? And lastly, I just kind of want to put all this in there. What do you hope to accomplish in this role?
Yeah. So I love people. I love talking to people, but mostly I love learning from new people. And it's amazing how much you can learn from a person based on a conversation. And I think that that's sometimes forgotten. If it's not written down, if it's not a policy, if it's not a whatever it is, sometimes people have a hard time consuming what an individual is saying. But I really like to take the time to get to know people as best as I can. Obviously with time, it's a bit limited, but it is so nice to meet people, understand what it is that they value, and kind of translate that into how it is that we service them as a client here at Corsica. So I think one of the things that makes Corsica different is the fact that we have an abundance of awesome individuals. The people that work at Corsica are incredibly talented, and I think sometimes we struggle in getting our voice out into the proper channels. So I think that I'm really here to help Corsica grow internally, but also help our clients grow with whatever it is that the plans they have for the future. So a lot of the times I feel like clients know what their end goal is, they just struggle to get there. Mm-hmm. And I think I do a really good job of coming in and helping to translate, especially for those clients that we have who we are their sole technology advisors. They are looking for an end goal, for an end solution. They don't know how to get there, they just want to be there. And sometimes, working with the beautiful technical minds that we work with, it's difficult to sometimes get that from the client. So I think that I do a great job of extracting that and speaking to our clients in a way where they know how to explain the situation or item to me, and then I can also explain that to into technology speak, if that makes any sense. Wes has been one of the big translators for me in the IT space. So as a reminder, I'm only 2 years old, and he's done a really good job, as have all my other coworkers here at Corsica. They are amazing teachers, and I think that if we're able to get that out to some of our clients in a way where they learn something from the technology or the services that we're providing, I feel like that's a job well done.
Yeah, honestly, the way that people here teach is honestly a lot of the reason why I wanted to do this podcast, just because I can read up on, all of this stuff, but I learn the most when I have conversations, like when I was having a conversation with Wes, who is so smart, when I'm having these conversations with Brian, who does such a good job of being really personable and breaking it down for you. And, everybody just is like, you're learning from everybody constantly. So these conversations are what makes me grow here the most in my role. So it's funny that you say that. So what are some of the roadblocks you've had to overcome to be successful in client relations?
So personally, I'd say definitely a knowledge gap. And, I'm working to understand a lot of these issues and the significance that it has to the client's business, and really the importance that it holds. So, I've been doing a great deal of learning. I think, I've gotten past you need to be able to understand it completely to be able to speak to it. There are areas where I understand the level of criticality that needs to be assigned to a situation. So that is not currently a roadblock for me, but I do see that as a roadblock for some of our clients. And sometimes when we have clients who are not as, proficient in technology, it'll be a really difficult thing for them to understand. Well, why am I not down? Or why am I down? Why am I experiencing this? And a lot of the time, it's not an easy flip of a switch. It is this thing impacted this thing, which impacted this thing, which is either causing performance issues, slowness, or maybe even a completely downed, site or client as a whole. So I've been working through those roadblocks by attempting to inform and educate at the same time for those clients that, lack that knowledge in IT. And it's not anything that is, you start from, this is what a computer is. No, it's definitely, I meet the people where they are. I talk to them in a level that is, more on my speed, more on my level.
Like a person.
Like, hey, do you understand what that meant? And if they say no, I do my best in trying to explain that. Like, I've had to explain to clients, we were talking about Microsoft Intune and things like autopilot. And when you hear those words, it's like, but really all it is, it's like when you have an iPhone, you get a new one and you sign in and everything just starts downloading in the way that you had it. That's really what that product is.
Right.
But if I say Microsoft Intune or Autopilot, people struggle with understanding that.
They immediately get confused. They're immediately like even you just saying that to me, I was like, what does that even mean? Because I work here and I know what this stuff does, but it's just kind of like when you put a name to it, it just immediately gets a little confusing.
Yes. So all it really is tying back to what we know in our everyday common life, because a lot of the times it can be applied to something that exists in technology. So instead of me saying, yes, Microsoft Intune or Autopilot does this, this, and this, you say, hey, when you get a new iPhone, first off, do you have an iPhone? Mm-hmm. When you get a new iPhone and, you're putting all of your information on it, we no longer have the days where it's like, let me sync my contacts. Let me send my pictures over manually. Mm-hmm. We have, what Apple gives us is we sign in, we use our cloud stuff, we sign in and boop.
Everything is just there.
Everything is there. Yeah. So, when clients are struggling with things like new computer deployments and they're like, why is this taking so long? Or why is this process so cumbersome? It's something incredibly simple that with, like updated Microsoft licensing, you can have this as a part of, what it is your organization uses to deploy new workstations. And it's mind-breaking.
I love that. I would guess that, when I initially asked you this question, I thought that your response was going to be, why is this taking so long? That would be like, to me, that would be because, a lot of times we're like, it's taking so long because you have to do this, and this. And like, for example, implementation and people wanting to, implement new systems and whatnot. I thought that was going to be your answer, but I'm sure that is a roadblock. It's just explaining that.
Absolutely. Explaining why implementation takes so long, or even, giving someone the proper steps of, hey, here are the phases in which this is going to be deployed in a way that is digestible to them. I think that really helps tremendously, and it helps set the client's expectations. It helps us set expectations with the client as well. And overall, just healthy communication is really what I think gets everything going here in client relations.
I love that. Well, what do you do, speaking of which, what do you do when you're trying to retain a customer? I know that you said, that was one of your transferable skills from when you initially were working in higher education, is retaining those students. And so, they get to their goal. What do you do here that helps you retain?
Yeah, so what I do here is I build relationships, and with building relationships comes trust, comes empathy, comes all of that. So for example, you and I, Lexi, if you are simply a name, there's really nothing there to tie me to you as a client, as a coworker, as anything. But if there's a relationship, like, hey, Lexi, I know you. I know your little dog, Charlie, very well. I know this about you. I know that about you. Hey, Lexi, your son just did X, Y, or Z. Those are the things that I use with my clients. And it's not from a disingenuous standpoint. It's from a super genuine standpoint. I talk to these people on a pretty constant basis. So, starting out a client meeting with a VCIO and I, changing our backgrounds to be balloons because we know it's the point of contact's birthday, that goes such a long way, which is actually something we did recently. So Sarah Benz and I got on a call and, we changed our background and, we wished our client a happy birthday.
I love that.
Yeah. And she was just like, you guys, how'd you know this? So there are things like that, and the reason I knew is because she mentioned she had a November birthday that she was excited for. So I put it on my calendar. So then when we start that call, I go, hey, today is her birthday. Let's talk about it. But then let's go ahead and talk about the things that really matter to her. Let's go ahead and build trust. We build trust by, if we do something, probably not the best way or the incorrect way or whatever it is, there's a learning curve in everything. And if we implement something in an incorrect way, we own up to it. We say, hey, honestly, that configuration, we needed to change a couple of things, but now you're good. So trust. You build that trust by, earning empathy with the client by saying, hey, I totally messed up here. I can absolutely do better, instead of saying, I'm perfect. There's nothing wrong with me. Your expectations are just not right.
Right.
So just being a human, I think, has really helped me in this role, has really helped me build those relationships with our clients. We have a client in South Carolina who for the longest time was like, when is Stephany going to come visit? What's going on? And when I did get down there, we talked about childhood cars, talked about so many things. So I think one of the biggest, things I've learned in this industry has been, they're all still people, regardless of what it is you are talking about. If it's a product you're giving, if it's a service you're giving, at the end of the day, you're dealing with people, and knowing how to build relationships, build trust, have empathy, have a relationship that goes both ways. I think that's the key.
Yeah, I think that goes, for like all of like leadership. A lot of our leadership here, it's a different environment than what I'm used to. And we were talking about that before, where you can literally be sitting in the break room and having coffee with the CEO, and, everybody talks to everybody, and you would never know like, oh, this person is the director of this, or this person is this. It's just very much like it's funny because, in IT, people think that IT people are kind of like behind their computer and hiding, but here it's just kind of like the people that make things happen, they're are very much people. And you obviously, I call you the belle of Corsica, because it's like everybody knows you. It's like if I'll be like, oh, I work at oh, you know Stephany, and it's just you're very well liked and very well known, which isn't a bad thing. So our last question is, what has been the biggest lesson in regards to understanding the customer experience, and what do you hope to teach others in this role?
Yeah, so I'd say the biggest lesson for me is, we try to give that premium experience, and that's really what it is that we strive for here at Corsica. At the end of the day, we are an MSP where we have a variety of clients. So while I do give that individual touch, it's difficult for me to say, hey, let's drop everything we are doing for this one small request. And sometimes I do have to let my clients down by saying, I understand that request is important to you, but it is a request. It is not something that has necessarily impact to your business flow. So simply talking to them and communicating with them on an updated timeline. Those are the things that I've learned as a lesson. I would say that it's hard for me to let people down, but it's also, I can't solve everything by myself. I'm simply the vessel here that communicates with our clients, that sets expectations. I'm not the one out there implementing your digital transformation project or your data center refresh. That's not me. I'm not the brains behind that operation. So anytime something needs to be scheduled in a different way, or we need to pivot, that's really where I learned my biggest lessons in saying, okay, Stephany, it is time for you to rein it in, stop over-promising and under-delivering, and start being real about what it is you're telling the clients. Even if it's not ideal, you'll find that they will most likely understand.
And I love that. And I think a lot of it is just because it's you, and how I'm serious is how you connect with people. It's just like, it's hard to be mad at somebody, when they're just so wonderful. And what do you hope to teach others?
I hope to bring a lot of the lessons from that higher education experience over to Corsica. So one of the things that I found in my time since leaving is, back in that industry, we used to think, students first, students first, students first. And they were first, such as our clients here, but we never stopped learning. We, the force of the people behind getting all of those students through the door. It was an institution of higher education, but we were also all active learners. And I see that here at Corsica. I see that the talent we have is hungry for more. I see that there are so many possibilities in where the talent that we currently have can go. So I am encouraged by their enthusiasm towards IT, towards, what it is that they learn on a daily basis. Like I told you earlier, check me out in year 6 to 8. I'll probably be unstoppable.
Running the entire company. Brian better watch out.
No, but the people that I work with here, it's difficult not to treat them as students at times, but I see a lot of similarities where I can kind of guide and shepherd and even mentor at times into certain behaviors or thoughts of ways of thinking or ways of doing, and I find great success in putting people first there.
All right, and Stephany, what do you think is missing in IT?
I would say that is fun. Okay. I think fun is missing in IT. I think that in this industry, you have a lot of really awesome left brain thinkers that are data-driven, analytical, who are very certain about, just themselves, the way that they do work, and everything has an outcome or a process. And I think that I have shaken the Corsica world up with a bit of fun.
Yeah.
So we spend our days, kind of connecting the mundane left brain things to be right brain things, and bring out the creativity and bring out the spontaneity and the fun and the joking and the laughter, because as we're doing that while we collaborate, we get to know each other better.
Yeah.
We get to know what makes each other tick. We have fun at the same time, and we work hard. So really bringing the fun out of the people that are here that are already fun, but maybe don't see that as a part of their day to day. I'm here to have a blast while working really hard. So I hope to bring that to Corsica. I hope to always maintain a culture of learning from each other, having fun, working hard.
I love that. And honestly, I feel like cybersecurity and IT is fun. I feel like if you're not passionate about it, you're not gonna like want to work in this industry at all. And I was telling Wes, like, digital transformation makes me so excited because it's like endless. It's like endless possibilities. It's like your imagination can just run wild.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And I even, I commend you because you are taking this information, you are spreading it to the larger masses, and even this podcast. So thank you, Lexi. It's awesome.
This podcast, I really did hope to really bridge. I wanted to get people as excited about IT as I do, because I think I came into this industry just like a regular person, willing to learn. And the more that I learned, girl, the more that I learned, I was just like, this is so exciting. I have to share this with other people. And I do. I talk about it on social media. I talk about it on my personal social media even, because it's just that exciting. I love reading articles about this stuff. But thank you so much for being here with me today and taking the time out of your very busy schedule to talk to me. And thank you to our viewers for tuning in to this episode of Unraveling IT, and we'll see you next time.